Welcome back, Wagoneers, to another episode of the Wasted Wagons podcast. We actually have the original crew with us here today. We don't have any Josh or any Biff here as special guests. And lo and behold, we have Mike with us 2 episodes in a row.
Is it 2 or 3?
I think it's 3. Three episodes in a row. So Mike is no longer on the milk carton. We threw that in the recycling bin. Oh, yeah, recycling doesn't exist anymore.
Recycling, huh? Yeah.
So, big time in sports right now. When we just passed opening weekend, over opening day or opening weekend, whatever you want to call it. I just want to kind of go around the table and get y'all's thoughts on y'all's team for opening day. Sean, would you like to start?
Would you like me to start? Yeah. Who's my team?
All right. Well, look, I'll go.
I know it's opening day. There we go.
I'll go ahead and start. I'm a Cleveland Guardians fan. It was really hard to read the Cleveland Guardians. And I know, as baseball fans around the table, they had a 4-game opening series against the Oakland A's. And if I'm being quite honest with you, the Oakland A's are just an absolute shit show. I think I was able to recognize 3 people in the starting lineup of the one game I got to watch. But the Guardians did win 3 out of 4. Really should have won 4 out of 4, but they kind of choked their 4th game away in the 9th inning yesterday on Easter Sunday. But nevertheless, the Guardians are off to a 3-1 start, and I can't really complain about that. So good start for the Guards. Pat, how's the Cardinals doing?
Not good. We got the Dodgers for opening series. Lost the first 2, won the third, and choked away the game yesterday. So we are 1-3 or 2-2, something like that. Not good, but that's kind of to be expected right now.
Hope they can turn it around.
My God.
Yeah. I mean, you start off with the Dodgers. You know they're probably going to overwhelm you with the pitching and the hitting and the bullpen.
Yeah, it's a rough way to start the season.
Yeah. So you just kind of hope you can just survive it and get on to your next series and make that a better outcome.
One thing I can say about the Guardians and A's series is I don't know if you guys had a chance to catch any of it on TV. I do have the MLB.com app or MLB.net, whatever you want to call it. And I was able to tune into the games, the A's I think literally might have 50 people in the stands for all of their games, and like that just goes to show that their fan base is completely backed out on them because of the fact that they'll be going to Vegas next year. So that their fans are kind of blackballing them and saying we're not going to support them.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And it's next year.
Are they changing their name?
The following year. It's one of the next 2 seasons. I think it's next year that they are leaving.
They're gonna what is his name? What are they gonna go by?
They're going to Vegas. I don't know if they're going to still be the Athletics or not.
The Vegas A's.
But at the
I think so because like they have the Vegas Aces and they would have the Vegas A's. So I guess they'll probably keep it. I don't think they've really announced anything about that. I think they're still kind of working out the stadium proposal and who's going to build, who's paying for that, where's it going to be, if they're going to play in like another stadium for the time being until their new stadium gets built.
The Vegas Golden A's.
But they are essentially.
I like that name. It's just the Knights logo turned upside down.
They are. They are essentially a minor league team right now, and so the Guardians really should have swept the series and kind of choked it away at the last inning. They got off to a slow start, made a nice comeback, and really just kind of choked it away at the last second. But either way, that was one takeaway I had is that the Guardians should have swept it, and 2, the fan base at Oakland has just completely bailed on that team, and rightfully so. I mean, I don't think I'd be happy if my team was leaving town either. But we'll kind of see how that pans out. I don't know if the move is coming next season or one following, but it's sometime in the very near future.
They're not pulling bleachers off the stands like they did in Cleveland when the Browns were leaving.
I'm curious to see
wood
maybe
onto the field and stuff.
Maybe that happens in the final games of the season or the final games of next season, whenever it is that they're officially gone. But I think now like the people who actually do attend the games are probably opposing teams' fans more than anything. Yeah. I did see the game. I tuned into a little bit of the game yesterday where it lost. And I did see mostly Guardians fans out there, just making the trip probably to see the A's stadium before they close it. I mean, we still haven't scratched the Coliseum off of our scratch off list
stadium as far as that goes. If they're moving next year, I don't think we're going to be able to get around to
Are
it.
they going to still have it? I mean, it's not going to get demolished. No idea.
I mean, it's time. That stadium. I remember Mark going to it a couple of years ago and saying that it's basically, the whole stadium pretty much looks like a bathroom that's like falling apart. He said it was easily the shittiest stadium he's been to. But again, you can probably, much like it's staying on the topic of Mark. We went to visit him a couple of years ago and went to a Pirates game, and the Pirates Stadium is extremely nice, but because they've been so bad for so long, that their tickets are very cheap. Those are probably the best tickets we ever got. I think we paid like $25 or $30, and we were sitting in like row 7, right behind first base. So I'm sure the A's, you can probably get some pretty damn good seats for a good price right now.
Yeah, stadium's gorgeous. So
Scoot your chair in.
They're from someone that I'm looking at is saying that if they move to Vegas, their stadium wouldn't be ready till 2028. So they would have to be maybe playing like a minor league stadium for the time being, which wouldn't be the first time that's happened for an MLB franchise. But they wouldn't have their own home until 2028.
28, damn.
Mike, have anything to contribute to?
I'm excited for baseball. I don't necessarily have a lot of time to watch the games, but the kids have been watching without me, which is good because they're into the games. And my oldest does play baseball for school and playground and stuff, so he's always excited about seeing the professionals and what they do and everything. As far as teams, I mean, just the Angels are my favorite MLB team.
Didn't Alex also like the Angels?
Yeah.
But she was a Shohei fan, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So is he a Dodgers fan now, or is he sticking with the Angels?
Well, I don't know.
He likes the Yankees too, though.
He does. He likes the Yankees. But as far as I go, the Angels. If I can have the opportunity to watch more games, I'll, definitely root for them. They, I believe they won 1 game, lost 2 so far. They're in the middle of the pack right now in their division.
They did indeed win 1 game and lose 2 to my favorite team, the Baltimore Orioles, and that's where we were this weekend. We went to we traveled down to Baltimore to watch the wasn't the opening day, but we watched the Saturday game against the Angels, and that was a very, very entertaining game. At least if you were an Orioles fan. Gunnar Henderson hit a leadoff home run that hit straight off the center field scoreboard. And when the Orioles ended up winning that game, was it 13-2? 13-3. 13-3. It was a good pounding, but then the Angels did come back and win the Sunday game. And I have to say, I do think the Orioles lineup is pretty stacked from top to bottom. I mean, the bottom half of the lineup as of lately hasn't been hitting the ball, including Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, Jordan Westberg. I mean, Marone Arias, who isn't really not really known for his bat. But I'm not that impressed with the Orioles starting pitching so far, other than Grayson Rodriguez and Corbin Burns. Dean Kramer got lit up pretty early today. Tyler Wells got lit up pretty early Sunday. They kind of held it after the second inning, both of them, but they're going to have to pitch better if the Orioles want to be as dominant as they were last season. And again, here we go again. They got another hit just now.
I mean, they've been what, playoffs the last couple of years, huh? Or more.
They were the number 1 seed in the American League last year. They choked in the playoffs. I mean, I still believe they will be one of the best teams in baseball this year. I was saying probably 2 weeks ago that I think they could win the World Series, but they need Kyle Bradish and John Means back at full health before I can fully determine that.
One thing I could say off of Mike, I know Mike's a Mike Trout fan. And that's what that kind of maybe ties him to the Angels a little bit. One thing I think you can look at that Todd has gone through similarly with the Orioles is that beyond Mike Trout, their team is a bunch of young kids. It's really I just made the joke about the Oakland A's being essentially a minor league team. Outside of Mike Trout, that's pretty much what the Angels are too. plus Rendon at the top of the lineup, who's basically given up on baseball. But that's another story. I don't think he is a hitter. But the rest of our team is really young, exciting kids, and I think you can kind of relate. Todd can kind of relate to this a little bit because of the fact that he went through it for so many years with watching the Orioles and watching their young players progress. I think you get a chance to do that and kind of follow some of those younger players and get excited about a few of them. The guy playing left field looks like he could be something special. I think his name's Taylor Ward. He looks like he could be somebody that could be a future prospect for him that could really, develop into one of their stars. But anyway, that's just kind of something to look forward to for y'all.
Yeah. I know y'all are joking, but I look forward to going to games if I get to make it to any with y'all or however. I mean, I don't mind ever going to a game.
We are going to St. Louis.
Yep. So there you go, St. Louis.
Jot the dates down. We just talked about it. July 11th through 15th.
I was asking him a little while ago. It's 2 weekends technically after 4th of July. So I think you're off on that weekend too.
Yeah. And then we're going to do a train on a Thursday. We're going to spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday there and take a train home on a Monday.
Yeah, I think we dubbed Sean as like the Rays fan just because he has so much Rays garb.
Well, I used to go to Rays games, Devil Rays, because my aunt, my mom's stepsister lived in St. Petersburg, and between 8th and 9th grade, it was 98, 99. We went down there, and for a summer, it was actually our buddy Doug went with us one time, and we went to a Devil Rays game.
No, I've said it multiple times before. Their best player wears Sean's football number at 56, and Randy Arozarena. It's a good player to latch on to and follow.
He's good.
He's good.
That's what the Rays hang on to him. They're another team that seems to dish out their best players after a couple of years. They dealt that glass now to the Dodgers.
They definitely play the money aspect of the player market, and they'll sell when they kind of get towards the end, before they have to really pay some guys. But they've done a few things. I think Kevin Cash is their GM, but he's done a really good job with a limited budget constructing very competitive teams.
I actually believe the Guardians got him now.
Kevin Cash.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that might make sense. That would probably be the case.
Not good.
Live look in, the Rays are down 6-1 to the Texas Rangers.
What is their record right now?
The Rays are 2-2.
The Rays usually tend to beat expectations. They're never a team that people are high on, and then they always just kind of end up doing fairly well.
When they had Longoria, he was isn't he on that list as their GOAT player?
Probably
Yes.
so.
Yeah, he was.
Didn't they made it to the World Series, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't
They
win
lost
it.
to the
though.
Phillies.
Yeah, okay, they lost to the Phillies.
But yeah, they're a team that usually beats expectations. The problem is right now that AL East division is just getting so good right now between the Orioles and Yankees, even the Blue Jays. Red Sox are still kind of, to me, a little bit away, and maybe the Rays are kind of slipping a little bit, but it's a good division. But yeah, Mike, it's good young players for the Angels that you can kind of follow and scout and see who's going to be the next Mike Trout-like player over there.
They're currently tied 4-4 with the Marlins right now. I'm just going to go ahead and chalk up that I'm going to be 1-4 after tonight because I get the Padres tonight for my next series. I don't know what we did to piss off the commissioner or the office, but hey, we're going to give you two of the most dominant offenses from last season to start your year with. So just stamp you into the ground and see if you can work your way out of it. Have the Dodgers, and then go have the Padres right after that. Thanks. So I'm looking for probably like a 1-8 or 2-5, 2-6 start to my season.
The Padres, who's their stud still?
Desel Machado and then
Tatis. Okay. And they've been pretty good with him, and I guess in it. I know they haven't won it.
They traded Juan Soto to the Yankees.
Yeah.
He was another one of the studs.
That's a if they could have held on to him to go with those two, and plus some of the pitching they have, they'd be right there. I'd say almost with the Dodgers, but they definitely are. I think are going to take a step back in terms of how much they can compete with the Dodgers this year. But there's still going to be a problem for most everybody.
Right. Wait, who won it all last year?
The Rangers.
Rangers, okay.
Not exactly out of nowhere, but I don't think anybody really had them pegged as winning it or even like a real threat. But then they got in and they started smashing the ball.
I was going to say, fun fact, it came up in my memories today. A year ago, I was in Dallas. Yesterday, a year ago, I was watching Taylor Swift at AT&T Stadium. And then April 1st last year, I was at the Dallas Aquarium and all that,
Okay, right.
driving by Ranger, whatever it's called, Globe Life Field,
Yeah.
whatever it is now.
And look at you now. You're on the podcast talking about it. Nationally syndicated.
Still have the game we went to years ago. I still have the freaking Stein mug that has the old Texas Rangers field on it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 8 games or something. They had the big sign in the outfield. It was like 8 games left when we went and saw it. So they switched to the other stadium.
Yeah.
Sees pink elephants right now.
So as I mentioned,
I just think of those Looney Tunes.
Held off a little bit on this one too. So I was like, oh, maybe we'll get into that.
anyway, so as I mentioned, we went to D.C. and Baltimore. We just spent the past weekend there. Of course, the centerpiece of the trip was, of course, going to Camden Yards. It was my son Camden's first time there. And it was a good game to go to. It was a Saturday game when they won 13-3. So we did get to watch an Orioles-Angels game. But we did some other things around the Baltimore, D.C. area, too. The first day we were there, we went to the B&O Train Museum.
B&O, Baltimore,
B&O,
Ohio.
Yeah, Train Museum. Pretty neat little museum. I mean, we try and hit up a museum no matter what city we go to. I was very satisfied with that museum. We also went to Checker Spot Brewing the first day we were there in Baltimore, and Travis has just mentioned that Edmund's Oast was probably one of his favorite breweries that he's ever been to. That was in Charleston, right?
Yep.
I think Checker Spot Brewing was probably one of my favorite breweries I've ever been to. And again, wide variety of beers. And the 2 I got, one was called the Dam, which was a Marzen, and the other was called this is the best one. This is the Bird is the Word, and it was a honey blonde ale, right?
Honey Kolsch.
Honey Kolsch. It was really good. So I mean, the two beers I got had a wide variety. They had the Orioles game on.
And that's why I want to cut you off there because I'll agree. Checker Spot was a nice hidden gem in a day where I was already pissed off, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But it ended up being a nice release from that because, like Todd said, it was a nice little setup. The inside was very well, very well organized and decorated, and they had a ton of beer to pick from.
Yeah,
and we ended up getting there like right as the Orioles opening day game was starting, so it ended up being, a very nice find for a day that really could have went off the rail shitty, as I'm about to explain in what grinds Todd's gear segment.
Yeah, because it was a big, spacious brewery. They had some good merch. I got the Bird is the Word shirt, which is a nice little kind of like pale orange shirt with honey plate on it with 2 Orioles underneath it. We brought the kids with us, so they had a lot of board games to choose from. They had a couple of pinball games that the kids could play as well. Very, very cool little brewery, Checker Spot. You get an A+ in my book.
If you're listening.
Next day, we ended up going to D.C. Did you want me to move on, or did you want to?
No, you can keep going.
So we're going to save that. We're going to save that part for the end.
Yeah.
Next day, we went to D.C. I've never been to D.C. before. I've only drove through one other time to go to an Orioles game. And I remember when we drove through, the streets being extremely packed. But man, D.C. is fucking crowded. Like it's unbelievable.
I just
There's
think
so many.
of Dave Chappelle. DC, huh, bro? That's a rough city, man. Instead of on stand up.
Just
It's a
so
rough
many.
city?
It was rough. I mean,
I don't know.
DC was very clean.
they have so many damn people. I'd imagine it's hard for there to be much crime right there. I mean, shit, like the streets are freaking packed.
This could pretty much go on what grinds gear segment too. Is like getting a tour of the White House is like damn near impossible. Like they apparently only book so many people, and you have to do it. You have to wake up at like a certain time to get on a tour. And like outside, if you can't get a tour of the White House, you can barely see it. Like the gates surrounding the White House are like so far, so far in front of the yard that like all you can do is snap a picture from far away and
picture
see
that
the
they
gate.
put on a postcard. Yeah.
It's not even just a gate, though. It's not even just a gate, though. They have like trees by the gate to where it's hard to even really see the house. It's not. You don't get a real clear view of it.
So DC, speaking about the crime,
Is it high?
274 people killed this year. So,
Where does that rate? Oh, so far this year?
so far this year.
Because like DC, I mean, maybe it was just because it was so crowded. I mean, you don't feel like you're ever in bad areas or anything like that. There's always people out on the streets. So
I'd venture to say that a lot of that's probably because you're in the more tourist populated areas where like there are all kind of attractions.
Yeah.
Where if you go to like the outskirts of town, it probably gets a little bit rougher and things like that. But closer towards the capital and things like that, I'm pretty sure it's a lot more buttoned up, probably a lot more security that's in plain clothing than you would see most other places.
Yeah, the streets were packed, but we ended up seeing the monument. We ended up seeing the Capitol. We ended up seeing the Lincoln's Memorial.
So, fifth highest murder rate
Really?
among the country's most populous cities.
Okay.
But the first thing we saw, and I guess one of the main things we did for the kids' purposes too, is we went to the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, and it's free to get in, which is great. But there was just so many people.
That
in
means
there.
it's packed. Yeah.
Like Travis said, it felt like he was in the Magic Kingdom
During
inside
Magic
in
Kingdom
a fucking building.
Magic Kingdom during Christmas time.
Without rope drop.
But I mean, it was like you could bear, like it was frustrating to look at the exhibits because it was basically you were like dick to butt with people. I mean, it was almost like you wanted to look at the exhibit really quickly and walk to the next just because so many people were kind of like hovering around you. So yeah, it was a cool place. They definitely put a lot of money into the place.
Yeah.
But it was
Definitely a lot of stuff to see if you weren't surrounded by people.
Do they allow photography there?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the negative part of the photography though is like everything is in glass cases.
Sure.
So like every time you take a picture, you can see your reflection in the picture.
You got the glare.
So it was. I didn't take a whole lot of pictures there for that reason. I took pictures of things that were not, pictures of the kids buy stuff or pictures of things that weren't in cases, but there wasn't a whole lot of that.
I asked because I figured imagine there'd be a lot of like people want to take pictures of things and that kind of gets in your way from like slowing down the flow.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to look at things like that because people want to pose by stuff,
Sure.
take pictures of stuff, and like people who either are really professional photographers or have professional photography gear and think they're professionals want to just take pictures of any and everything.
And that probably did factor into the crowds and slowing things down. I would deal with that. So, all right, so go on.
All right, so I mean, we ended up closing out. We ended up closing out the day with two breweries. One of them was called Capital City Brewery, or Capital City Brewing. Slightly disappointed in this place. The food overall was pretty good. We went there to really eat. It kind of remember how Zia's used to be, where they had their own couple beers that they claimed they brewed, and one of them was like I think one of them might have been a Mars.
Yeah, I forget that they were considered a microbrewery or something. Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but they only had two of their own beers on tap, and everything else was just everything else. I mean, they had like Natty Boh on tap, they had like Heineken. I mean,
Is it kind of the same like Gordon Biersch? Like I got a very Gordon Biersch vibe.
Yeah, it was kind of like Gordon Biersch. Gordon Biersch in like a Zia's type place.
On a scale of meow,
it was better than
gnarly barley. On that scale,
it was in between.
Oh, I mean, it definitely was nowhere near the caliber of gnarly barley. But
So like an urban south.
I would put it a little under. I would put it a little under Urban
it was
South.
under Urban South. I mean, at least Urban South has a lot of their own beer on tap, and I think they have some pretty good sours.
But it wasn't to me. It wasn't really a brewery to me. It was more like they had, like Todd said, they had two of their own beers, but it was basically you were going there to eat and not really hang out and drink a bunch of beer.
It was Miel if I didn't get my beer poured out.
So the beer I got there was called like Amber Waves, and it was a red ale, and it was good. It was good. I just wish there was a little more variety on tap.
Yeah, it was kind of that like we talk about. There's not too many beers that. There's not too many breweries that you're going to go to and just buy one beer and leave, right? I mean, most of the time when you go to a brewery, you're probably going to drink 2 or 3 different beers.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of the way this place was. It was like you were going to eat, drink a beer, and then move on to the next, and that's what we did.
So we looked for the next one, and we had it narrowed down to like 3, but there was one that we spotted right off the train station.
So it was walking distance.
I mean, right when we got off the train, it was like right there. It was like, oh shit, there's a brewery right there. It was called Red Bear Brewing. Now Red Bear, exact opposite. They had a lot on tap, and a lot of variety on tap as well. And their beers, all the ones I had were really good.
Yeah.
Some of the one I got that I ended up really liking.
I mean, I think I want to say it was probably like 15 beers on tap. It was a wide variety. They had IPA, sour, stouts, lagers. My favorite beer there was Irish Red Ale that they had. It was very similar to Killian's Irish Red.
Yeah, the one I liked was called DC Dirt, and it was a porter. It was a really good American porter. Cool little poster for it too.
Nice.
Camera. I think you can see that.
Zoom in.
Now, where this brewery gets a little awkward, all right? So we walk in, and they tell our wives that because we had kids with us, we had to be out of there by 8 p.m., which was no problem. We got there about 6:30.
Yeah, we were tired. You know,
we had to
all
catch
the walking beat through the crowds at DC, so we kind of wanted to leave around that
and
time.
we had to catch a train back to Baltimore. So we were kind of ready to go at this point. But we're like, that's kind of odd. Why do they want us out of here at 8 o'clock? The reason why they wanted us out at 8 was they actually had a drag show that was actually going to go on stage in there. And then we're kind of looking around, and pre-show, there was actually a mixer going on. And it looked like it was like a, non-binary,
it's like a whatever kind of mixer going on.
a lot of
kids sometimes.
There was a lot of name tags on. The reason how, like, Travis, we actually stand at the bar ordering our first round of beers, and then Travis is like, why does everybody have name tags?
At first, I thought it might have been like a work party or something, but then I started realizing like people were like moving around, and like it was almost like speed dating. It kind of looked like, and it was people who looked like they didn't necessarily identify with one sex or the other.
The crowd definitely stood out.
Mm-hmm. And it made sense that they would have that leading into a drag show. So, to be honest with you, if we didn't have the kids, I might have stayed and watched the drag show, and may have had a really good time with it. But it definitely was that part kind of threw us off a little bit. Like, okay, the thing that would led us to believe why the kids had to be out by 8 was because on their website they advertised that they have this big shelf of board games. So we're like, okay, well that's going to keep the kids occupied.
And it was right there when you walked in. Right,
they wouldn't let the kids have the board games because they said the board game we closed our board games at 3 o'clock because we have an event going on. And then we see this mixer going on, and then there's a big poster is advertising the drag show. And I'm like, okay, well this is what's going on. This is the event. Didn't make sense why you couldn't take the fucking games out, but don't.
I don't want a high heel stepping on a checker or something.
So that was write that down. High heel stepping on a checker.
Well, the paper's right there by you.
But that was the now great. Nothing but nice things to say about the brewery. The beer was awesome. The atmosphere was good. They gave us a repost too on Twitter. So plenty to choose from. Good beer. But that was the odd experience we had there. Was kids had to be out at 8 because the drag show was about to come on.
Say when you were describing that you had something to talk about this brewery, and you'd say like it wasn't anything negative. It was just a different sort of experience. I expected something way worse than that. I was thinking maybe like the normal let's say clientele that would not be at attending the drag show, that they were weird and just similar to what you might see at a local brewery here that starts with an M. That's often the distance I've been referenced before.
But would you agree that that's a little bit stranger than what you experienced at said brewery a couple weeks ago in New Orleans?
That was a tad stranger, yeah.
Stranger in the sense of that it's not something you see every day, but I mean, I've been to a bunch of different drag shows. I'm used to them. They're actually kind of fun, whatever.
Yeah.
But
I think it would have been fun, but like
I
bust out, bro.
I mean, to be honest with you, I would rather hang out with the drag show and that crowd than deal with the regular people that go to like say Miel, because there's
Miel's not really getting a whole lot of love from the podcast.
And haven't been for the last 3 weeks.
Well,
hey, they had N64. That's my only.
Sean, we will bring N64 games to your house if you need to.
Will you?
Yeah, as opposed to going back to there.
We're gonna put GoldenEye on the pod.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that.
GoldenEye.
Wait, we can live stream.
But, yeah, so that was good beer. Little bit of a different environment than what I was used to. Wasn't expecting to be kicked out at a certain time for a drag show.
As y'all are leaving, Daddy, what's that woman going to do with that horse?
different kind of show.
So as we're sitting there drinking the beers,
They didn't go to Tijuana.
Hey,
have you seen Clerks 2?
Let's just call them the guys who are participating in the show. Were coming in with like rolling suitcases and walking to the bathrooms.
I must have missed that.
You didn't see that? They were coming in with rolling suitcases and they were coming in to go to the bathrooms to change into their shit. So yeah, I mean,
Put on that Mrs. Doubtfire.
we knew it was about to start, and it was time to start drinking our beer. You know?
Nice. Well, it sounds like you guys had a good time. Made some memories.
We got one more day. He's probably going.
That Travis is I know Travis has to do is going to do what grinds and gears, and I guess we'll close the Baltimore DC talk with that. I mean, third day. I mean, obviously the centerpiece was the last day we were there. The centerpiece was the ball game, and the Orioles ended up whooping that ass. So, and that Angel ass. So that was a good point. That was the best, really my favorite part of the trip. We started that morning. We started the morning going to the Science Museum, which Travis, Heather, Jessica, and I have already been to. It's basically the same as every other science museum we've been to, except it was three or four stories. Had the same shit as the one in Baton Rouge, same shit as the one that we went to in Birmingham. But we also got to do the pedal boats, which we didn't think we were going to be able to do because they said they didn't open until April due to the weather. But they were open. We got to do that, and that was a fun little experience too. The boys got this, and the kids all got to kind of pedal their own boat. It was kind of cool. One thing I skipped that we did on the first day, and I'm going to give a major shout out to this restaurant, and everybody kind of rants and raves about it when you go to Baltimore, but it's called Miss Shirley's. It's a breakfast place, and it is God. So if you're ever in the Baltimore area, eat at Miss Shirley's for breakfast. It is God.
And I think the prices were a little high, but they gave you a ton of food. So it was definitely good, definitely a bright spot among the restaurants there.
And it was also, right smack in the center of the city, in the middle of Baltimore. So I mean, it's not the price range didn't range that far from fucking Hard Cafe, which is usually pretty overrated food.
Everything in DC was overpriced, but anyway, if y'all want to know, we could jump into what grinds gears, and I know Todd has something to add to it at the end, but since we're on the topic of Baltimore, and I know I already went off on a rant in the text, so y'all already know what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But
and now it's time for another segment of What Grinds Todd's Gears.
Every time I go on a trip, I create an itinerary. We talked about this as one of my stress relievers. As when I'm stressed out at work and I know I have a trip coming up. I like to create an itinerary. I like to do research on things that I want to do on trips, and it freaking calms me down. It takes my mind off of work, and it gets me excited about what the future holds.
So wait, so you like doing itineraries to relieve stress?
Yes.
Okay. Some people like jerking off.
Some people like lube.
That's what I was over here doing this. I was going.
Well, we mentioned that another member of this pod likes load management a lot. But
anyway,
I'm not the one managing the load.
While I'm
usually I am. Yes.
Created this itinerary, I probably put about 15 things on the itinerary, something like that. Of course, we can't cover all of that in a 3-day trip, but at the same time, you make it, spread it around the group, and say like, hey, if you want to do any of this stuff, if any stuff sounds appealing, let us know. Outside of the Orioles game. One thing that both Todd and I said were at the top of our list of seeing was the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum. So this was like top of Todd and I's list outside of going to the Orioles game. So
a lot of birds in that city. Nevermore.
Like Todd said, we started out the day going to the B&O Railroad Museum, which thank God for that place because the B&O Railroad Museum ended up being, the one touristy sightseeing thing we got to do, and it ended up being a pretty cool place. So it set the day off in a good mood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it's literally a 6-minute walk from the Railroad Museum to the Edgar Allan Poe House. But as you're walking there, you start to kind of look at the neighborhood you're walking through, and you're starting to see condemned houses.
The Poe House.
You're starting to... Well, anyway, we finally get there after walking through some pretty sketchy-looking neighborhoods, and then we get to this place, the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum. They have a sign on the door that says, "Please knock. Please don't knock. If you have any questions, please call this number." Okay. Meanwhile, the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum is connected to a housing project in the city of Baltimore. So as we're standing there, we're calling this number, trying to get
I
inside.
see the play on the naming. The Poe House.
The Poe House. Yeah.
But as we're waiting to get inside, we're calling the number. Nobody's picking up. So eventually, we finally decide to knock on the door, even though it says not to. A lady wearing a mask
It's got a big old door knocker on it too.
opens up the door and says, "Can I help you?" And we say, "Yes, we're here to tour the museum." And she says, "Oh, well, we only do tours at the start of every hour." By the time we look at our watches, it's 2:20, 2:25, somewhere in that time frame. So the lady says, "Y'all can't come in until 3 o'clock."
Okay.
And then keep in mind here, it's 45-degree weather outside. We have 4 small kids with us.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah.
And then as we're pretty much having this conversation, a guy comes and walks through us. And it doesn't say excuse me, nothing. Just walks through our group, and it looks to me like he's tweaking off the drugs. And then the woman still will not let us inside. Says you have to wait till 3 o'clock. And basically we're like, look, can we just come wait right there?
Was she talking y'all through a little slit in the door, and you just saw eyeballs like in a movie?
She opened the door, but she refused to let us in. And we're basically saying like, hey, we got 4 kids with us. It's cold. I didn't flat out say like, hey, this neighborhood is scary. But it was.
Yeah.
And the woman would not let us inside. She said, sorry, y'all have to wait till 3 o'clock. So we just kind of flat out asked her, like, okay, so you're going to let us wait out here for 40 minutes and turn down our money? And she's like, yeah, I can't let y'all in until 3. So I said, all right, well, screw y'all. Screw you. You just forfeited $80. And we called an Uber and got out of there. But like, look, I don't understand that policy at all. I mean, I get that the place is not very big. But it also didn't look like there was a humongous crowd of people inside. Didn't look like there was a humongous crowd of people waiting to get inside. So the fact that this museum turned down $80 from patrons who traveled across the country as top part of their itinerary, and you're not going to let us inside to wait till 3 o'clock to start touring, to me, that's just bad policy.
Did they have something
That's
going
just
on
bad
inside?
policy.
Like part of the
Don't
tour?
waste
that you
them all.
know
So
of?
they said it's a self-guided tour. So I don't understand,
Oh,
like,
come on,
why.
really?
So I was like, why do we have to wait till 3 o'clock
Self-guided tour.
for a self-guided tour
That's bullshit.
with nobody? And look, we saw a couple people already exit. So I was like, if a couple people already exited, you don't have a ridiculous amount of people.
No, there's probably.
But I'm telling you,
3
man,
people
like,
in there, max.
I don't mean to shed any negative light on COVID and people who want to wear masks and still, take that seriously. But if that's the reason why you didn't let us inside because you were worried about your numbers for COVID or something like that, I mean, that's just total horseshit. You're letting 4 kids stand outside in cold weather in a bad neighborhood. I mean, look, I'm not one to complain about places very often. I get everybody has policies, but to me, that was just absolute horseshit. Todd's an Orioles fan. I'm sure we'll be back in Baltimore sometime, but that will never be part of our plans again. And I hope,
So y'all didn't actually go to the museum?
we didn't get to go in.
No,
We didn't get to go in because they wanted us to.
In the cold.
They wanted us to wait 40 minutes outside in that neighborhood in the cold before they would let us into the museum. And like, to me, that was unacceptable. And I hope.
And you think it was because of COVID, like rules and stuff?
I don't have much of an appetite. Thank you.
I guess I'm guessing it probably was, but at the same point, to me it was a bit absurd. And we even asked her like, hey, can we just come sit right there by the front door and we'll start touring at 3 o'clock if that's what you want? And she said, no, I can't do that. And I said, oh, so we, Heather basically said like, okay, fine, then you're forfeiting $80, and we called Ubers and got out of there. But that was absolutely insane that they wouldn't let us inside. So. You get an F in my book because I never even got a chance. Like Google only let me rate it 1 star. They wouldn't even let me rate it 0 stars. But yeah, that was just to me uncalled for. So,
well, if you're listening, go fuck off.
Yep.
Edgar Allan Poe, if you're listening.
Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum
Poe House
can
The
officially
Poe House, if you're listening.
suck my balls,
suck it, suck it good.
and that's what grinds Travis's gears this week.
You can join the likes of Miel and Sean Payton sucking balls.
Oh, and Sean.
And the old guy at the gym with the swinging grandfather clock nuts.
So that's just gonna lead me into what grinds my gears today, and we could call this like a gym etiquette version 2.0. As you know, we've discussed
Who's
the
gym etiquette?
Well, as you know, we've discussed the blue hairs at the gym.
Same thing.
the naked locker room talk, the talking to you while you're trying to work out. But I'm going to kind of jump back a couple decades, a lot of decades. We're going to jump back a lot of decades.
Back to the future.
And we're going to go to
the 99 and 2000.
No, we're not going to talk about blue hairs. We're going to talk about the teens. How about we talk about the teens at the gym today? And what I've noticed is kind of trending among them. First, it shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, in the age that we're in with TikTok and all that good stuff, the amount of kids that are recording themselves, either like setting PRs or doing TikTok videos themselves, is getting insane, man.
I was about to say lack of.
Some of them come in there with tripods.
So there's one girl who works
like
out. Wow. There's one girl who works out with her dad, and the dad, is very serious about working out all the time. You can tell he's just trying to get through with his workout. Well, his daughter is sitting there dancing, like filming herself, like the whole time. Wow. So I don't know the dude's patience level. I don't know if he's if he's masking it really well, but I'd be pretty fed up if I invited my daughter to come to the gym with me to work out and she's busy filming herself dancing.
His anger fuels his workout.
While he's working out. But then there's the kids who either are on a powerlifting team or are trying to beat bodybuilding shows who are just like who record themselves doing everything. They literally have kids setting up like tripods in there recording themselves. It's getting out of hand. I
mean, everyone's on social media these days.
Well, that's true, but
and has a podcast.
Keep that shit out of the gym. Keep that shit out of the gym, man. So that part should come to no surprise. But that's the first thing that bothers me. It really grinds my gears tonight. Is the fact that all these high school kids recording themselves working out. The next thing that I've noticed, which is kind of a bizarre trend, and I think there's only one of our members that actually really religiously wears Crocs, and that's Mike.
I don't even know.
My child does.
But there are so many high school kids that there's so many high school kids that go to the gym now wearing Crocs. It just seems like it's just not.
But it's so comfy.
Do they have charms on them? Because that's a new,
some of them do.
That's a new thing that my 9-year-old loves is putting all the charms in the holes. And now we decorate.
Some high school kids do have the little plug-in charm things.
Yeah, they sell them at the kiosks at the mall.
I guess they officially count as closed-toed shoes because they don't have the toes are covered.
Are they running on the treadmill with the Crocs?
No, but I mean, I guess realistically, probably a tennis shoe probably doesn't protect your foot a whole lot better if you drop a weight on it. But it just seems to me like Crocs fall into the slipper category, the sandal category.
I was just saying they put them in sport mode, as my child calls them, when she puts the band behind her ankle. Then they're in sport mode.
But it's just, I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like proper gym etiquette to wear Crocs at the gym.
They're definitely not steel toes, is what you're saying.
It just doesn't look right.
Drop a weight
on
it.
But Todd, they might have steel toe Crocs.
They probably do, honestly. They got the fuzzy ones and everything else out there. They probably have steel toe Crocs.
At this day and age, maybe they do have steel toe Crocs. Who knows?
I mean, I can't say anything about Crocs, because I used to wear them.
Did you ever get blisters?
Right now, I only have one pair left. I use them to cut my grass. If you can see there, right over there.
They're
the
broken
black
in.
off-road edition.
So, Mike, you're
let
actually.
me tell you the reason why I stopped wearing.
That's what I was about to ask you. You're the person that has to talk about it since you used to wear them and you've now changed that tune.
So, I severely hurt myself. When you wear Crocs in the beginning, when they're brand new, they do have tread on them. Everything's good. You can pretty much go anywhere, do anything. You're good. You're solid. Once you start wearing those Crocs for a long time, they become smooth on the bottom side, on the sole side, and very, very, very dangerous. I have slipped multiple times. And then the very last time that I slipped, I really injured myself bad. I have numbness still from it.
Where'd you slip?
My knee. It was here.
In the backyard?
Right
damn.
From my knee up to my hip area. And that's when I decided I can't do this shit anymore. I'm getting older. And
Crocs, the silent killer.
Yeah. And I love it. And I did love wearing them. They were comfortable, airy, like. If it's a rainy day and your feet get wet, it's not a big deal. They're dry. not a big deal.
I think my mom still owns stock of Crocs. I don't know how it's doing.
Yeah. So that's what made me get away from them.
You know, it's funny. The other day, my child, she wears them. She loves them right now, and she pulls it off without, wearing them all day without socks. And so, like, her pinky toe was all red. And she's like, "Why does my toe look like that?" And I was like, I was like, those kids, you wear any shoe without socks for, and you sweat in them for the longest time, you're gonna get blisters and stuff. And it even happens in Crocs. It's not some miracle shoe.
I've never been a fan of like the sandals with where it goes in between your toe.
The thongs.
I've never liked thong sandals. I
I've
always
been a
like
fan of
slides.
thong underwear.
Yeah, I like thong underwear too. My wife doesn't wear them.
But
I wouldn't wear them at all. Like,
I've never been a fan of that. So when I saw Crocs for the first time, I was like, "Oh, this is great! This is perfect." So now I'm into slides.
Yeah.
Slippery.
I've never had owned a pair of thong sandals. Always slides my whole life.
Well, we also had Jesus sandals at one point.
Well, those
Like-
are the strappy
Like
ones.
the Birkenstocks? Yeah.
The brown ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that give you the very odd tan lines and things on your feet
Yeah.
in the summer.
Now, question, Mike. Did you ever wear socks with your Crocs?
Did I ever? Only in the wintertime. And it wasn't like I would do it, but I wouldn't go out anywhere,
Okay.
like in public, if that, makes any sense whatsoever. I used to do it just to, if I don't know, gotta go in the truck or something, just
Yeah.
a quick errand or something. Yeah, I would do it
And
with
they got,
socks,
they
but
got the
definitely
Crocs
not
with
in
the
public
fuzziness in
because I
them.
know that looks ridiculous.
I mean, remember the meme, birth control pills are 99% effective, and they say 100% effective, and it shows Crocs and socks.
Todd, have you ever worn socks and sandals?
Not to like go out anywhere, and no, like if I end up like if I have socks on, I have to take my dog outside, then I'll slip some sandals on and go outside. But no,
Travis?
I think back in maybe like high school, whatnot, I might have had some socks that I wore with slides at a certain point, but I haven't done that in a long time.
Now, I saw a photo of you from back in the day. Like, let's say at probably your high school, maybe early college years and whatnot.
where did you see this photo at?
Someone sent it to our group, and
On the bathroom wall somewhere.
let me just tell you, looking at how you dressed back then, you definitely looked like a socks and sandal kind of guy back in the day.
If it was high school, like I said, I would sometimes wear
Is this
socks
the
with
picture
slides.
that we're referring to?
Bingo.
You see that picture?
Puka shell necklaces.
Okay, now I'm not even in that picture, but
Jason's got the big
I
logo
am-
joint to it.
I am definitely guilty of wearing the Jesus sandals. I remember when we went on the senior trip for Disney World.
Oh, yeah.
Whole crew had it.
The whole
Yeah.
crew was like me, Travis, Sean, Nick Boyd.
Some girls were like saying, Jesus shoes, Jesus shoes.
Oh, yeah,
And,
that's
like
right.
all of us had
Yeah.
matching, well, not the same exact ones, but all the strappy brown sandals. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had the Jesus sandals, but I never wore socks and sandals.
Okay.
Like I said, I take my dogs outside. And
That's fair.
I would wear
how about you, Pat? Did you ever wear socks and sandals?
I would have socks on with the slides only if I like took shoes off where I was wearing socks and just put the slides on like after football practice, something like that. But no, I would not on purpose put socks on before the slides to wear them on like that. It's just kind of like convenience. Like I don't feel like taking my socks off as well.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Todd, to answer your question, no, because I have also never owned a pair of sandals or slides.
Really?
I don't do open toe footwear of any kind.
So, like, even around the house, like, what do you do? Like,
So I have a pair of Sperry's that are like worn down. If I got to go outside, I'll slip on my Sperry's, run out to do whatever, or run to the store because it's.
We knew you were
you're
bougie,
barefoot
but now
inside your house.
we know what level of bougie you
But
are.
I paid $30 for those things, like brand new from like a DSW because they were on clearance for whatever reason. And then like maybe a year or so later, I found another pair on clearance at DSW. So I bought that because my original pair was so worn down from wearing around the house and whatnot.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't.
So you wear? Yeah, that's like you don't wear any shoes. You're barefoot inside your house. Like,
For the most, I usually either I
or
have.
do you get out of bed and put shoes on, and then you don't take them off until
No,
you get back
okay.
in bed?
If I'm going to be like downstairs and kind of just hanging out, I'll either have socks on or barefoot. If I'm in my office upstairs, then I go barefoot.
It depends on the floor too. If you got carpet or hardwood, or
Yeah. So like my
tile.
floor, like downstairs, we have hardwood and tile for the kitchen and all
What
that.
about the beach?
So
I have so many.
No, that's fine.
U.S. berries on the beach.
No,
I wear my slides to the beach.
One of the first times I went to the beach a long time ago, right? We stopped at an Old Navy, and I literally bought a pair of like the thong sandals, warm for probably a half a day.
Rub the fuck out of you.
Yeah, but I also don't like the flopping noise when your heel hits the back of them, and I don't like the way it feels in between like your big toe
Like that.
and next to it. So I literally I chuck them. I would wear tennis shoes to like down to the beach start area, put my shoes in like a little cubby or carry them, and I just walk barefoot and that. But now I have a pair of old Converse Chucks that I only wear for like getting dirty, like going play in mud, or like wear out to the beach like that. I don't do sandals or slides of any kind. I've never had a pair outside of the ones I bought from Old Navy, just because we were.
I would say try the slides. They're a lot more comfortable.
I don't like open toe, and the look. It also doesn't appeal to me from a look standpoint, so I would never do it.
I've debated on like the
then
Pelican
then the next thing to do is try a pair of Crocs. You might love it because they are closed.
like
They
heaven,
are
like
airy.
heaven
You
on
can
your
wear
feet.
them to the beach. You can wear them.
Oof, I wouldn't want to feel sand inside of a Croc.
Does Crocs, like the outside of a Croc, look like Antonio Brown's brain?
Hey, Davis.
No, I have Sperry's that I will wear to around the house, or if I want to do a quick walk, a quick run to the grocery store, I need to put something on, slip on the Sperry's, go to the store, come back. If I'm going to the beach, I have a pair of Chuck Taylors they're like this sand brown color.
Do they have snakeskin?
No, let me find a pair. Let me find a pair of snake skins.
So do you have like a foot complex of some sort where you don't like to show your feet?
Yeah, bad toenails.
No, my feet are fine. I take care of them as best I can. I don't have any weird issues with like my feet. I'm just not a foot person.
I'm
Are
just
you
trying to
worried-
figure out
are
if
you-
this is an underlying.
Are you worried about people with foot fetishes looking at your feet?
No, because
that is a
Good
valid
question.
question.
no, because fuck them. What are they going to do? Come to me like, hey, I like your feet, and I'm like, cool, and I'll get the fuck away from
Let me
me.
touch your feet.
That's how that ends, right then and there.
Let me touch your feet. Sneaky, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I've never had a.
Foot fungus.
Don't think I have any of that.
Toe jam?
I mean, like, I don't think I have any toe jam either.
Toe jam and Earl? That was a game.
Yeah, I'm just not a foot person. I don't really do open toe thing. Maybe some of it is I worry about like if something falls on my foot, but not really, because if I wore a pair of Sperry's and like something fell on it, it's gonna fucking hurt regardless. Yeah,
I've
no.
passed on 2 years of the NOLA. After Todd's, I don't know, having a
Orioles
orgasm
just
over
hit a
there.
walk-off homer, so
I guess that means they
that
won.
didn't even look like it was gone. That was like a fucking shallow pop out.
What do you mean too high?
It's gone. Who gives a fuck? It's gone. Good job, Westy. But yeah, so
Yale
basically,
State, motherfucker.
so basically, what we're doing is, we're figuring out that Patrick doesn't like people looking at his feet.
He's got an open toe phobia of sorts.
Oh,
I wouldn't say a phobia. It's a little overblown. It's not a phobia. I'll do it. Just you got to find a pair of open toe shoes that actually like look appealing to me.
Yeah.
That's your
well,
problem.
before Todd had his orgasm over there, a slight grind my gears. I passed on 2 years of the Pelican City Gear ones because they're $60 for slide sandals. It's like, yeah, no, I don't need them.
And it's just because they
I
have
don't need them that
Pelicans
bad.
on them.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Purple, green, and gold with the fleur de lis, and it says NOLA like the hat that I have.
Mhm.
It's like that would look cool, the slides, but I'm not really going to wear them in public. And then
And I
$60.
don't really judge people who wear them. If that's your thing, cool. I might wear shit that you think is like judgy or judgment worthy.
So
That's what it is.
Okay, so what if we had 20 likes for this episode? 20 likes. Would you consider?
No, I know where you're going with this, Mike.
Would you consider?
No.
I tell you, like,
Wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
Let me just.
because I'm gonna raise the bar back on you when you get with your.
Would you consider for 20 likes? Dude, you need to find a bathroom quick. For 20 likes, would you consider wearing some slides for the next episode?
$20.
20 likes.
20 likes.
20 internet dollars.
Like, I have to just like show up in them and wear them for like the episode while I'm sitting down? What?
Yeah.
What do you get?
And take a picture so we can post it that you wore those slides at the next episode.
Post a picture of your feet in slides.
20 likes. What'd you do?
Somebody will be scrolling. They'll see a picture of
All right,
Patrick's
listeners,
feet
you
in
just heard
slides.
it.
Sure.
He nodded his head yes.
You didn't. How could you hear me?
Allegedly.
How could you hear me nodding my head?
20 likes. If you like this episode, he's gonna wear his. Oh, we're gonna buy him some slides. That's what we're gonna do.
Mike, you know what? I'm gonna do you one better.
Okay, what is
If when this episode gets posted on Facebook and a link to it, you repost the Waste of Wagons podcast page, and combined that post gets, let's say, you get 50 or 100 likes, I'll buy a pair of slides on one myself and wear them for every 4 episodes. I'll wear a pair.
For a repost.
You have to repost it,
Okay.
and you have to figure out how to get 100 likes, excluding the other 4 of us
Okay.
Gonna go down the
Biff.
list and check them off.
and Josh.
But
And
is
Jamie.
the 20 like thing.
Yeah, we'll do a 20 like thing.
20 like thing still a thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so either or. Either
no, but we
get
can do
20
both.
likes,
We can do both.
or I get 100 likes from a repost.
Yep.
Okay. So wait, repost in what social media?
Facebook.
Facebook?
Mhm. I know you got 100
That'll be
friends.
tough. That'll be tough.
You don't have 100 friends on
I
Facebook.
do, but
I mean,
I have 501 on the nose.
I know where you're going with that. I've got like 1,200. I don't want to talk to 1,200 of them. Probably don't walk to.
I'll say I'm gonna have to get creative.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm gonna have to get creative. Okay. Anyway,
Remind me tonight to look up if Vans has any kind of slides that will look decent, because I got a feeling I might get caught up in this.
Well, so that kind of wraps up our what grinds our gears segment. But outside of that, there's been some pretty big news revolving a musician that we kind of grew up, was popular during our time. And he doesn't really put out a whole lot music-wise in the last couple of years. And he had his own line of clothes, his own line of alcohol. And that's P. Diddy.
He's changed his name a few times.
Does anybody have anything to shed on this light? I'm not as familiar with the situation, but
Who's pretty good and get him to the Greek.
I know a little bit, just following, certain things. From what it sounds like, Travis, P. Diddy is the new Epstein, and it's if it is true.
Is Epstein or Weinstein?
Is it Epstein or Harvey Weinstein?
No, Epstein.
No.
Yeah, he's the new Epstein. Supposedly,
Allegedly.
Allegedly. It's if it is true, it's pretty disheartening that there is those sickos out there still. He's been accused of human trafficking, sex trafficking, both male and female. To have his old bodyguard came out. Now, this guy doesn't seem too credible in the first place, but he's saying some stuff that he witnessed. All these things happening.
Sounds like Diddy liked it all. Huh?
There is a rumor, I don't know how true it is, that he was an FBI informant, and that's why he hasn't really been caught up in this yet, because he was, the rat on the big, I guess, the grand scheme of things, of the big operations and stuff. But he has he has a lot of money. He has a lot of friends, a lot of connections, and I guess when you get to that status, when that level, you're pretty much, you feel untouchable. So you think you can do anything you want, and and if it is true, it's very sick and it's very very wrong.
Yeah, I feel the only people I feel bad for outside of the victims are his kids, because like you saw the images, like when they did the raid on his home, they brought the kids out in handcuffs and they're sitting on the ground and they're suffering for what their dad did. Now, if they had anything to do with it, then that's a different story. But as of right now, I guess the kids are pretty innocent in what's going on. They may know some things and have seen some things, but they didn't. From what I read, didn't actively partake in any of the activities that happened. But I feel bad for them. But as for him, I hope it's not true for the sake of the victims. But if it is, I hope they put him.
When something like this happens, and you have all these different agencies, Homeland Security, FBI, all these people, they have to have something.
Oh yeah, they do their due diligence and know.
Even to get a high profile guy like he is, even to get a search warrant for his residence.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to have concrete evidence.
Sure. I was about to say, how were the kids involved? They raided his house.
They raided his house.
How old are his kids? Like
they're older.
They're teenagers.
20s.
But there was a rumor at first that he was in his private jet in Antigua. But then later on, they said no, he didn't. He's still in the States. He was in Miami at the time.
Yeah, because they should have had a picture or a video of him at a private airport, just kind of pacing back and forth, and you can see the look on his face was like, it's real. Like this isn't like.
Now, the weird thing though is he got detained but not arrested. So
right.
I don't know, what the deal is with that. That's the part where I figure maybe it's because the rumors are true. He might really be an informant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why wouldn't he get arrested?
He knows who really killed Tupac.
There's so much that's about to get uncovered in this, so I don't want to speculate on some things, and again, everything is still an allegation until they, I guess, bring forth formal charges and whatnot. But it sounds like if what they are alleging that he did actually happened, he's going to be buried in the ground. Everything's going to be gone, and it should be.
And Travis, you said Weinstein or whatever. It's some of that.
Epstein
but
Island?
There is
Weinstein.
There is some of that, but there's also
Weinstein
some of
is the movie. He's
Harvey Weinstein.
He's a producer.
The Weinstein brothers.
He used to take advantage of young actresses.
Yeah, ones that wanted to break it into show business. Who were basically sleep with me and I'll get you some deals.
So from the stories, there is some of that going on, but also there's a whole nother part of sex trafficking, human trafficking.
So he's got his own island.
Oh yeah, I believe he does.
Diddy Island?
Diddy Island.
I believe he does have an island.
Is that where Diddy Kong's from?
We would say that could be a good. Would say that Diddy Island could be a good episode topic too, but I don't think we want to be associated with that.
I definitely won't be naming the podcast episode Diddy Island.
But I think the two things that stand out to me on this
Diddy was pretty funny.
Is one, if you're innocent. Why would you? Because I don't know much about this, but I did hear that he got on his private jet and fled the United States. And I don't know if they were able to get him and he's detained now.
I just said that those rumors were not valid. They found him in Miami in the airport, in Miami International. I believe.
Oh, and he was trying to flee.
Yeah.
Was it a private?
So it's like a private airport, Immokalee, which is maybe a half hour, 45 minutes from Miami, maybe.
So to me, if you're innocent, why are you trying to flee?
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is we probably said it before on this pod in some way, shape, or form. A lot of these guys get to the point where they have so much money that they just feel like they're invincible, and that no matter what happens, they're not going to get in trouble. And I think these guys are starting to find that that's not the case. When you break the law to this extent, there's going to be consequences that follow. And like Patrick said, buried in the dirt. I hope he is if everything comes out to be true.
Stop breaking the law, asshole.
Tupac didn't want anything, so I guess we won't go either.
And I guess if
Did he fondle Suge Knight's balls?
Actually, Suge Knight came out saying something. I forget what he said.
Well, I don't know. There's I think it's Cameron and Mace have a podcast together called "It Is What It Is." Yeah, and I think on the day this was all happening,
Mace used to be really tight if he did.
Yeah. So so here's the thing. Here's the problem with that episode, and I get why it was done this way. It's called "It Is What It Is," and I believe Cameron is kind of tap dancing around. He's like, "Hey, man, some big news. Some big things in the news today." He's like, "Mace, how you doing? How you feeling?" He's like, Mace is like, "Oh, I'm
violated."
He's like, "No." He's like, "Oh, well." He's like, "Oh, I know." He's like, "Oh man, I'm good." It's like not saying karma, but payback is coming and for things like that. But he wouldn't specifically mention anything about PD. But but look at his face. That's what they were talking about, but he didn't want to say anything, just to kind of let everything play out. But he was being very coy about it.
Speculation that Mace was one of the guys that was diddled.
Is that why?
No,
Is that why they had a falling out?
No, that
Mace probably said no. I don't want.
That's why Mace went into retirement.
Well, he went to religion and like that.
Yeah,
so a lot of people were saying that Mace got out of like that lifestyle in the industry, maybe because of some of the stuff that P. Diddy was doing. He didn't want any part of that. But like you could tell, like the way his facial expressions were that he either knows a lot or he knew something like this was going to come at some point in time. So yeah, it does. I don't think they really got into anything that's worthwhile from a listening standpoint, like bringing out details. But Mace's face alone, who was very close to P. Diddy, could tell, just gave off of like, yeah, I know some shit, and like I'm not surprised by this at all.
So the writing on the bathroom stall.
Yeah.
Sorry, Patrick. I was just whistling the Cameron for Force and Karen's remix.
Gotcha.
So you know what I was picturing the whole time you said Cameron was Common. Somebody confusing them.
Yeah, we don't look alike.
I'm forgetting what Cameron looks
Cameron's
like.
really handsome. I mean,
Killer Cam.
No, Common is really handsome.
Yes.
I wouldn't
Common's the bald one with the big
necessarily
Right,
agree
right,
with. Wouldn't say necessarily the same thing with Cameron.
Yeah, it's worth bringing up just from the standpoint. I think of. I hope we get to a point in society where more people come forward to out these people and that they get what they deserve for all the shit that they did, and be it small or large, be it just like embezzlement, money, like laundering, things like that, trafficking, sex trafficking, all of it. I hope these people of power get exposed so we can maybe start taking back some of this. You're not invincible just because you have money. You can't buy your way out of things like this just because you have money.
McMahon.
Yeah, same thing. Russell Simmons, same thing. He was doing some of the same stuff that apparently that Puff Daddy is alleged to have done and whatnot. So and that's where he fled and whatnot. To go to the lighter side of this and to put a bow on it. Everybody was making a joke.
By the way, real quick, I don't want to stop your conversation, but Todd over here keeps farting like he's like out of control here, and we need to get him some Beano or something.
Request a short bathroom break.
Do you need to switch from the DEET and the citronella to like a poopery spray? Turn a fan on or something.
Anyway,
but everybody was joking. They're like, man. Dave Chappelle was kind of talking about stuff like this back in the day from Chappelle's show. You remember the episode he did with, it was like Diddy's house or whatever his character making fun of Puff Daddy was. It's like he told me, hey, go give me some Cambodian breast milk and stuff like that. But like Dave Chappelle was making fun of this sort of thing, and really with P. Diddy, however long ago his show was. So apparently people have known stuff about this, and I'm not
Ted Williams did say this was going to be the year.
Yeah, and now, however much stock you put in what he has to say, because he could be just blowing smoke out of his ass or whatever, or could be doing for entertainment and clicks. That he said a lot of things in that interview on Club Shay Shay that people are going to get exposed for stuff they've been doing, and it's like it's coming.
It's happening.
Yeah,
really
and
happening.
I'm sure he's probably sitting up there like, I told you so. And go, but wait, there's more. Now it'd be fucked up if all of a sudden something comes out about him and he gets ensnared in something. Maybe not. Who knows? But I feel like he knows a lot, and maybe he'll have to come forward with some stuff that he knows as well.
Yeah.
About to pull some of Sam. Shut that dog up.
Well,
yeah, there's always shenanigans. We're here at my house tonight, and there's always some shenanigans.
If it's not one dog barking, it's another.
Yeah, if it's not the neighbors,
the other
it's
dogs will start.
Don't wish that.
We heard a truck already pass.
Yeah,
This dog is inside though.
yeah, and an airplane earlier.
Helicopter.
Oh, helicopter, right?
Helicopter.
Moving on to something I kind of want to get into, unless y'all have something else to bring up on the P. Diddy thing real quick.
Oh, man.
I liked your use of the word ensnare.
Thank you.
We don't condone.
We already established your bougie. You're using
We
ensnare.
don't.
Every now and then I like to put a little bit of my vocabulary skills out there.
Very, very eloquent.
Thank you. I try
Right,
sometimes.
Patrick?
We do not condone. Yeah. So we don't have a faux pas like last time.
We uncondone? No. What's the opposite of condone?
Well, I said condone. We condone.
Yeah.
We condone.
Question. So this is something I kind of talked about for off air before we started recording that I wanted y'all to think about. I'm going to pose this question to you. What are you? So let's establish based on this. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Period. Don't want to hear any discussion about that. That's not the discussion we're having. What are you the Michael Jordan of? What is something that you think you are the best at? It has to be a sport. It could be an activity. It could be a hobby. What are you the best at?
Procrastination.
There you go. That's a solid one.
The funny thing is, you asked this question, but they actually asked us when I was hired at Riverdale this year. They actually asked this question in like the new teacher meeting at the very, very beginning of the year. And one thing I said was spitting out random movie quotes.
Yeah, man.
That's a pretty good one.
So Sean's got procrastination.
Sean's pretty good at the movie quotes too, though.
I already threw out, let me touch your feet when we were talking about his slide sandals.
Procrastination, movie quotes. This is one of my hobbies that I don't necessarily tell many people that I do.
Is it a stress reliever?
It is a stress reliever, a huge stress reliever. It's on the feminine.
Not jerking off though.
It's on no.
It's
on a very. It's a vacation plan. This one is it's up there with vacation planning, but this one is way more feminine. And y'all are gonna probably chuckle when I say it.
I think they already know that he does this, and he's really good at it.
I don't think I know. So
I think I'm the Michael Jordan of scrapbooking.
Okay.
Oh, you have mentioned that, yeah.
So I mean, I know that's not something typically guys do, and it's something that I really never thought that I would do. Kind of started back with Heather and I's first Disney World trip, the first year we started dating back in like 2008 or something along those lines, and maybe 2006. I don't even remember the years. Just start to mesh after a while. And she said, "Hey, let's do a scrapbook for our first Disney trip?" And I was like, let's not. And then she started buying all the stuff, and then she just laid it out one night and said, "Let's get started." And I did, and I just kind of found out that it was just, again, it was almost like to me putting a puzzle together, and it was just the creativeness starts coming out. You start matching up what pictures go on what page, what's the theme of the page, and now, when I go on these trips, like Todd talked about going, I'll eventually make a bigger Baltimore book, I guess, but it's just something I use as a stress reliever and find that it's fun, and I think I've developed my skill at it over the years, and it's gotten pretty good at it.
That's how Heather knew you were the one.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's in a scrapbooking now.
Hey,
I gotta hold on to this guy.
Find you a man that can.
That's why we go to Red Bear Brewing.
Find you a man that can not only make the memories, but make you remember the memories and make them unforgettable, so that you'll never
make them frozen in time.
I mean, y'all are my good friends, and y'all, some of y'all already knew that about me, but like Pod World doesn't. It's not something I tell many people, but it's fun to me. So
good.
Mike, do you
enjoy it?
Do you have a thing that you think you're the best at?
Yeah, y'all. I mean, it's something related to my work. I think I am the Michael Jordan of intubations. Y'all really probably aren't really familiar about that kind of stuff, but I really think that I through the years I've perfected that skill, that technique.
Shoving tubes down people's throats?
Yes, exactly. It's actually very hard to do.
I know it's a very intricate
It's very hard to do, and I have done thousands of them, and
that's actually a slight fear I have. I hope if I ever have a tube down my throat, I don't know I have one down my throat. Like it's
and related to that, I am very good working resuscitations. Like my success rate is like very high.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. Like a small fear of like waking up and I have like, what the hell is this? And I have a freaking. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I hope more people in your field of work feel like they're the GOAT at that, and or strive to be the best at that, because that could really impact people's lives.
I will say that Todd and I both work in high schools, and really, I was going to say public school system, but like even the private school system, we've both been told that we're the goats of school counseling. But I mean, working in counseling, like I know people who
who have been around a lot longer than me, and I hold to high respect. I'll give a shout, maybe a future guest one day. Former Spanish teacher of ours at Rummel, Roy Salgado, is I would consider him one of the goats of counseling.
He comes on Fox. I like his segments on
Bob Whitman. Bob Whitman.
Bob's
going to die in his chair. Right?
Bob's got kind of an unorthodox style and has never really did private practice. So I can't really say Bob is just a goat in general as a friggin' person. But I think like Roy is one of the guys I look up to the most in counseling.
I ran into Bob a couple weeks ago at Camden's baseball tournament. His grandson plays, and he don't look like he's aged since the last time we saw him. So I don't know what Bob does, but he
stays active.
He just still looks the same.
There's a lot of softball with people his son's age. Like us.
It's better than him, so I mean,
and it's the best one on the team.
So again, I can say Todd and I can maybe both say we're pretty good at our jobs, but at the same time, I wouldn't claim the GOAT status because I know people in the field who I consider better than us. But anyway.
Sure, but at least you think you're really, really good at your job, and you maybe know that you could be better. But you can also say like, yeah, I'm really good at what I do. That's no shame in a little patting about or bragging about something like that. That's fine. Like I love the fact that Mike can say like I'm the best goddamn intubator there is. Period.
Yep.
Good. Please be that confident because that's something you a person receiving that kind of treatment and care would want to feel from the person performing that service for them. Mine is way less serious and more on the funny side. I guess it's not really something I'm not proud of, but I am. And I guess if you really know me, I tend to get caught up in a certain world, and my world revolves around one of my favorite hobbies. I am the GOAT of having a conversation with you and listening to you or hearing you, but not paying attention to you. Like my mind will be off about somewhere else.
Thinking about load management.
No, not all the time. But my mind will be off somewhere else. And you'll be talking, and I can still hear words and catchphrases and pick up on things. So I'm there enough to the point that if you ask me a question back about what you said, more often than not, I'll get it right. Or at least I remember most of it to seem as though I was fully engaged. But really, I'm checked out. And it's probably something like car racing or car related. And I do it all the time. Like it's not something I guess I should be proud about, but I am horrible at paying attention.
Should we invite Patrick's ex-girlfriends on the pod?
I mean, if you can find them. They're not buried, or I didn't like kill them or bury them.
I don't have a list. Yeah.
But no, just in general, I'll do it with work. Well, maybe not as much work because a lot of things I need to hear for my job is if I'm taking like an exam or a quiz on for a certification or something. But like in everyday life, especially for strangers or people I don't really know that well, you could be talking and I'll be like, yeah, man, you're going off of that. I'm at the racetrack, this and that. But that also ties into that I am horrible with remembering names of people for the first time. Like I am so bad. I'll have to ask people. I'm like, hey, who was so and so?
You know at this table who's really good at it? These two.
But remember names.
I'm really good with faces. Like I can definitely. I think probably working in a school probably helps because of the fact that you run into so many students over the years that you definitely remember faces very easily.
I got photographic memories, man. Think about all.
And then sometimes a name comes to mind. But I'm definitely better with faces than names probably.
That's one thing I really did pride myself on. Was remembering all my kids at school. But man, like over the years, I guess since you've had so many kids. I mean, this is my 12th year working at Jefferson Parish, my 15th overall working in a school. It's some kids who will come up to me and say, "Hey, Mr. Olivier," and I know the face, but the name just will not register.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've run into some old teachers and stuff, and they're like, wait, who are you again? And they know I'm familiar, but they don't remember me like
Before I came here, I went to Fly Bowls right after I saw a client tonight, and one of my kids who graduated last year. No, he didn't even graduate last year. I think he was a junior last year. I saw him at Fly Bowls, and as he comes in, his back's turned to me, but I recognized him like right away, and I'm like, what the fuck is his name? Like, I couldn't remember it. And finally, it came to me like right before he turned around and like dapped me up. I was like, it just came to me. I was like, man, it took me like a good, like 2 minutes just for the name to register.
I remember my first, and I've probably said this on the pod before, I said it somewhere else, but I remember my first year working at Rummel. Rob Burleson was still working there. He was our senior religion teacher when we were there, and he comes in my office and he's like, "Hey, you graduated from here?" I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "Did I teach you?" And I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "Don't feel bad if I don't remember you." And I said, "I don't." Like I said, I'd imagine I'm going to have the same issue, staying in education as long as you have, that I'm not going to be able to remember everybody.
It's funny, like, for me, how my memory works. Like, there are guys that we went racing with back in, say, 99, 2000, stuff like that. I can remember the cars that they drove and tell you, like, oh, well, so-and-so had a silver Mustang or a silver Camaro with, like, orange or red stripes on this and that. My friends, like, cousins or something like that, I went to Russell's.
You remember people by their car, but you don't know their name per se.
Yeah, I can do that for some people. Just other people in general that I come across, not so much in my day-to-day life, but that are in my orbit. Like if we were at someone's house or at a party, like, hey, you remember so-and-so? I'm like, no, I don't remember so-and-so who I met 2 weeks ago at your party. But I remember Darren Hoyle from 1998 in Georgia with a red Camaro, yada, yada, yada. And people are like, what? I'm like, I'm horrible with most names until like probably the third or fourth time really meeting someone. I used to joke, and I guess I kind of still do. I'm like, it's on you to be impressionable to me, for me to remember you. If you don't, that's on you. That's not the way it should be, but I should be better about it.
I pulled this up because I still have this Dilbert from a calendar in my office because it's priceless. It's like, hi, I'm Randy. And he's like, I can't memorize names and shake hands at the same time. He's like, no, I'm Randy. He's like, no, don't bother, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And then all three panels, he's shaking the guy's hand. He's like, I'm not going to remember your name.
Yeah.
I can't shake hands and remember names at the same time.
I have a meme saved in my phone, and it's like a guy shaking hands with this another guy, and it says, pleasure to meet you. I've already forgotten your name. And I'm like, damn, that I feel attacked because that's me. I'll meet you and be like, yeah, okay, it's cool. And then like 10 minutes later, and be like, wait, what was that guy's name? A lot of it is
because you're trying to pay attention to what that person has to say. Like, you don't focus on the name.
Yeah.
When you meet somebody, you're trying to analyze. Like, oh, is this a pretty cool person?
Do I need to run away?
Right.
Is there a quick exit?
Do I need to take my knife out?
Or how much bullshit? And all of this sounds like, how much bullshit are they feeding you?
Absolutely.
And you just gotta, you're right. You're trying to suss out the person.
Senses are like tingling.
Yeah.
Like, what, do I trust this person?
Mm-hmm. And I get caught so often, like, oh, hey, you remember? They're like, oh, you're and they'll say that. I'm like, yeah, I met you from so-and-so. I don't remember how I met them, but I won't be able to put the name to it. I'm like, God, I'm such an ass. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, that was a good question.
It popped up on a podcast I was listening to when I was driving around today, and I was like, what would I consider myself to be the goat at?
Very good question. I like those. I think you came up with something a few pods ago too. Something just out the blue. It's very good.
That just happened at the wedding we went to. It was like two guys. I think one of them was Sarah's former coworker, but he brought his like fiance, another guy, and she was like, "Is it Caesar or Cesar?" And
Mm-hmm.
they were going about how to say the guy's name, and so then when they walked off, I'm like, "I remember Cesar. I had no idea what that dude's name was." I shook his hand. He said his name, and I do not remember his name, but I definitely remember Cesar because we talked about it.
Yeah, significant others or coworkers of friends. I'm like, dude, you're gonna have to tell me a couple times because I'm going.
But it's like I remember Cesar is her ex coworker's boyfriend, fiance.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't remember the actual coworker's name,
Mm-hmm.
the one you would think is more important to remember his
Right.
name, but
some of that for me translates to like like driving around, like trying to figure out like where like if I want to give you directions to some place, like tell like, oh, what street is it on? I'm like, I don't know. I can tell you like maybe the main, like it's off of Vets. Okay, well Vets in what? I'm like, I don't know, by the Smoothie King that's across the street from the Winn-Dixie, and there's this tree or whatever in the front yard, or there's a flag in somebody's front yard, yada yada yada, and like
go down 3 potholes.
yeah. Well, that could be too many streets in this city.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm bad with like remembering street names that I frequent a lot. Like going down Bienville where Mix is, there's like I know St. Anthony Street or St. Patrick Street and Baldwin and some of those.
Yeah.
But the other streets I have no clue. I don't remember them until I pass them. I'm like, oh duh, that's that.
It's funny. My child actually asked me that in the car one day. She's like, "How do you remember where you're going?" And I was like, "I guess you drive enough. You're just used to these roads."
Yeah, you do.
It's like I don't think about it. I just know where I'm going. I guess. I don't know. I don't say like, all right, I'm going to turn on Vets now. I'm going to turn on Causeway now. I just know where I am. You know,
Like I might know, like from my house, if you turn from Vets onto Florida Lee where I live, the street past my house, I think it's Brooks. That street after that, I have no clue. The street before that to the right side,
Bel Air.
Bel Air is a little further down, but yeah, but still, I can't. Like 2 streets down from like where I live, I'm like, it's something.
I can say that. Like I was going to say, kind of. I didn't really mention it. Like what I do get complimented on with my work is that I'm very detailed, attention to detail. Almost like it's a blessing and a curse. Like somebody wants to like slap you sometimes because I catch things that like they were like, wow, I can't believe you caught that. And I'll give people directions of like, oh, it's on the corner of blah and blah. And they're like, just tell me what business it's close to. I'm like too detailed when I say like, oh, Lemon in Harvard or something. They're like, what? That means nothing to me.
Which is funny because he's the king of procrastination. It doesn't really go hand in hand.
Well, that's the thing. If I get into something, I get into it. But it's, you know.
I think they call that ADD.
A good example for me talking about streets, the Total Wine on Vets. I think Turnbull is one of the side streets.
Yes.
And then the other side street after, like if you're going towards Causeway, I don't know the name of the street.
It might be Nayray.
Yeah, but like I pass it damn near every day for work. I'm like, I know Turnbull because that's when I'm turning off of Cleary from the bridge, passing your house. I turn down the street that goes in front of your house, and then go to Turnbull, turn left, and take into the back parking lot of Total.
Danny, Taft, Belmont, Turnbull, and then Total. I think, and Nayray's after it.
Okay, is it Nayray?
Nayray's by Lowe's.
That's what I'm
trying. Again, I know this because I've lived in this neighborhood for 12 years.
Oh, really? Cool.
Gotcha.
That's awesome.
What?
I was just informed that my wife is going to make an appearance at tonight's podcast.
Nice.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and close out the main recording, and then we'll take a reset, get Jamie loaded up and ready to go, and then we'll bring her on for a little something that's been in the works for a long time. We're finally going to get a little debate settled. So, on that note, unless someone else has something else they want to talk about, or do we have shots? Todd has food in his mouth. Yes, Todd. What are you drinking?
Well, now I've just recently switched to the Tullamore Dew, the regular Irish whiskey.
Green label.
And this is distilled, matured, and bottled in Ireland. So, attaboy! But what I was drinking before was Grangerstone Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey, bottled and distilled in Asheville, North Carolina. Wait. It's excuse me. It's Scotland.
It's close to Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah. But Grangerstone Scotch whiskey and Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey, and of course I'm mixing it with a nice Pepsi Zero or Diet Pepsi, whatever it is, in the black can.
Mixing the Tully with the Pepsi.
I'm a pussy. I don't like drinking. I just said that. I don't like drinking whiskey and bourbon by neat or on the rocks.
We just established that, Patrick. Yeah.
It's established I'm a big wet pussy, and I don't like to.
Wait, did you say you're a big white or wet
Wet.
pussy? Okay.
There's no racism here.
You sure about that? There's some things I've heard on this podcast that would lead me to believe otherwise.
Why?
Not amongst you,
Other
but
ones
just
aren't wet.
hey.
Wops.
Shout out to the wops of the world.
I've got nothing sexy today. I'm still drinking some good old PBR.
From the homeland.
Drank that with my first one, and then I mentioned this on a previous pod as well from our birthday trip to the 3 breweries off of Chapatulas. I'm drinking the Port Orleans Dunkelbach, which is we said probably Port Orleans' best beer. So shout out to Port Orleans. And I was listening to that episode earlier today, and I did say that the Raspberry Coffee Break was my favorite from Port Orleans, but there was one that I liked a little bit better, and it was the Orange Cream Thickle. That was sour that they had.
Oh yeah, that was an IPA.
That one probably clogged the tubes up too. That was
the big orange can. Yeah,
it was really god. It was god.
What me next? I I downed another Rally Cap pint-sized Thai cobbler, sour ale with peaches, cinnamon, and vanilla. I don't know why today I actually tasted some peaches in it. It's ironically after I ate the Dorito barbecue sweet and tangy. I don't know if that the sweetness aided to the taste of the peach here, but it was pretty good tonight.
Sounds good.
I'm drinking a good quality.
Agua?
We're still in the alcohol. The alcohol ban.
Alcohol-free days.
The alcohol ban.
Prohibition phase.
Prohibition. But hopefully soon I'll start indulging.
What are your thoughts on Aquafina, the actress? No.
Sean?
What? I said Thai cobbler.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's like
I think it's you.
Yeah, it's Thai.
Oh.
Patrick. Did you watch Newton Boys yet?
No.
You should.
I'll get to it at some point. I'm drinking Buffalo Trace bourbon and water. I'm gonna attempt to maybe go to the gym after this. We'll see.
To the gym.
I got cardio to do today. I'm thick, but I could be a little less thick.
The next episode, we'll discuss what's your favorite time to go to the gym.
Oh, perfect.
After bourbon and water.
Well, I haven't had a whole lot of bourbon tonight.
Sweating it out. You gotta hydrate. You gotta put that water in the bourbon.
There you go. 2 for 1.
So, what are you drinking? Any bourbon?
Yeah, I got bourbon in a cup.
Okay. Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
A little Buffalo Trace, something simple, kind of light, because I don't want to, sweat out alcohol too much.
Jamie, her favorite is Bullet.
Yeah, I like Bullet old fashions.
Bourbon. She'll come soon. We'll let y'all know.
When I want to put my pinky up, I'll say Bullet old fashioned. Pick my bourbon and not just say give me an old fashioned.
Bullet and Kamikaze.
Cool.
And on that note,
wagons out.
Wagons out.